Delivering their ruling this morning, Chief Justice.
Good evening. The news summary for this Tuesday, 24th January. The Constitutional Court has dismissed a motion for two judges of the Constitutional Court and the Chief Justice to consider recusing themselves from the hearing of a petition. The petition is seeking a review of the constitutionality of the 10th Amendment of the Constitution, which introduces new powers to the members of the Seychelles Defense Forces, allowing them to work alongside the police.
Delivering their ruling this morning, Chief Justice Ronnie Govindan, Judges Mohan Boran and Brassel Adlin said the main issue is who should hear the application for recusal, considering that the notice of motion avers that the entire judiciary was involved in the 10th Amendment. Otherwise, the issue of fair hearing arises as it is not possible to give the opportunity to all the judges and justices to give their views prior to the recusal motion. As requested by the petitioners, the appointment of an ad hoc or temporary judge will ultimately have to be made by the President, one of the respondents, which will lead to procedural irregularity. The petitioners have been asked to file a defense to the ruling.
Non-profit organizations or associations are being urged to participate in the second phase of the National Risk Assessment with the objective of identifying vulnerable non-profit organizations likely to be used for the financing of terrorist actions. The National Risk Assessment, led by the National Anti-Money Laundering and Countering the Financing of Terrorism Committee, is being conducted with the collaboration of the Citizens Engagement Platform, CEPS. It also follows the recommendations of an international entity called the Financial Task Force. The Financial Action Task Force. One of the recommendations requires that countries take a risk-based approach to the supervision of the non-profit organization sector, and currently Seychelles is not in compliance with this recommendation. The Secretary of State in the Ministry of Finance, National Planification and Trade, Patrick Payette, made this announcement during a press conference that took place this morning at the Central Bank, where the representatives of all other stakeholders involved were present.
As you may recall, last year the government launched a national risk assessment for the non-profit organization, and this year this is another exercise that we are launching with the assistance of CEPS. So we are appealing for the non-PO sector to engage in that process so that we collect as much information to enable us to complete the national risk assessment of the NPO sector.
Today is the first day of school for Primary 2 to Primary 6 students and Secondary 2 to Secondary 5 for this year. We visited the Ladik school, and the only school left in the country that has the same head teacher for both primary and secondary school. Students were being encouraged to concentrate more in their studies, especially as 5 students. The Deputy for Studies in the secondary school, Judan Victor, urges the students to fight the laid-back spirit that is affecting their performance.
We have some of our students who are very good, who have the ability to perform very well, but again, because they are laid back, this is a setback for them, which prevents them from getting very good results. But I believe that this needs to change. Okay? They need to realize that they won't be staying on Ladig for the rest of their lives. Even maybe some of them may have to go and work on Mahe or in other countries, or even they need to go and study. Okay, so it might be a culture shock for them if they don't try to change this attitude.
The Ministry of Education has celebrated the International Education Day in a ceremony at the Seychelles Institute for Teacher Education site this afternoon. During the ceremony, head teachers from both private and public schools learned about different strategies that 4 schools have implemented in order to promote a better learning environment. The theme for this year's International Education Day is to invest in people, prioritize exercise education. During his speech, the Principal Secretary for Education Sector Development, John L'Espérance, said that this is the second year that the Ministry of Education observes this day.
Modernizing education means giving teachers and students the best learning experiences and environment possible and the necessary tools to compete in the global arena. Students should be able to have more regular access to computers or mobile devices and broadband internet in schools. In addition, teachers also need to be given access to the right software platforms to engage students in meaningful learning. Modernizing our education system will improve educational attainment rates and result in a more productive workforce.
Former President Danifo, founder and chairman of the Danifo Foundation, participated in the Ocean Race Summit Mindelo held in Cape Verde yesterday. Former President Faure joined the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, the Prime Minister of Cape Verde, Jose Ulisses Corella, and De Silva, the Prime Minister of Portugal, Antonio Costa, and the Chairman of the Ocean Race, Richard Bricius, as a speaker at the summit. In his intervention, President Faure expressed his unrelenting support to the ocean race, standing shoulder to shoulder with like-minded partners, furthering the cause to pursue a path leading to the adoption of a universal declaration of ocean rights. He reiterated that such a declaration could complement all international efforts and processes that oversee marine-related human activities to maintain a sustainable equilibrium between conservation and sustainable development. Speaking of sustainable financing, he shared the experiences and achievements of Seychelles, including the development of the blue economy, the sovereign blue bonds, and the marine spatial planning exercise. That's the end of this news summary. Join me at 8 for the news bulletin in Creole. Until then, have a pleasant evening.